All right, good evening. Hope everybody's had a good day. It's been a beautiful day to hide Easter eggs for sure. If you'd like to, we'll stand and sing this first song. Number 560 will be the first song, 560. I care not today what tomorrow may bring, if shadow or sunshine or rain. The Lord I know ruleth o'er everything, and all of my worry is vain. Living by faith in Jesus above, trusting confiding in His great love. From all I'm safe in His sheltering arm, I'm living by faith and feel no alarm. Our Lord will return to this earth some sweet day. Our troubles will then all be o'er. The Master so gently will lead us away on that blessed heavenly shore. Living by faith in Jesus above, trusting confiding in His great love. From all I'm safe in His sheltering arm, I'm living by faith and feel no alarm. Please be seated. Good job, guys. 827 will be the song before our reading and prayer. 827, Sweet Hour of Prayer. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, that calls me from a world of care and bids me at my Father's throne make all my wants and wishes known. In seasons of distress and grief, my soul has often found relief, and oft escaped the tempter's snare by thy return, sweet hour of prayer. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, the joy I feel, the bliss I share of those who ancient spirits burn with strong desires for thy return. With such a hasten to the place where God my Savior shows His face, and gladly take my station there and wait for Thee, sweet hour of prayer. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, the wings shall my petition bear to Him whose truth and faithfulness engage the waiting soul to bless. And since He bids me seek His face, believe His word and trust His grace, I'll cast on Him my every care and wait for Thee, sweet hour of prayer.
If you would turn your Bibles with me to Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 through 16. Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 through 16. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is good for nothing but to be thrown down and trampled on under the foot of men. You are the light of the world. A city that's set on a hill cannot be hid. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lamppost, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven.
Dear God, thank you. Thank you for this wonderful day you've given us, and please be with lost loved ones and sick people, and thanks for letting us come out here tonight, and please be with us as we go home tonight. In His name we pray, amen.
$359. I love the Lord, for He died my soul to save. On Calvary, His life He freely gave. From realms above, Jesus freely came to die, that I might live someday with Him on high. I love the Lord, He has been so good to me. He gave His life from sin to set me free. No greater love than His could ever be. I love the Lord because He first loved me. I love the Lord for His love so full and free. He taught us why that a love like His should be. To be like Him and compassion freely give. Oh, bless His name, within with Him could live. I love the Lord, He has been so good to me. He gave His life from sin to set me free. No greater love than His could ever be. I love the Lord because He first loved me. Number 412. 412. If you like to, we'll stand again. 412. As I travel through this pilgrim land, there is a friend who walks with me. Leads me safely through the sticking sand. It is the Christ of Calvary. This would be my prayer for each day to help me do the best I can. For I need Thy light to guide me day and night. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Yes, I need it every day. Through the to Ramadan, fighting thy saving arm, hear my claim, my feeble plea. Lord, dear Lord, look down on me when I kneel in prayer, bless Jesus, hold my hand. When I wander through the valley and toward the setting of the sun, lead me safely to the land of rest, if I crown of thy I have put my faith in thee, Lord, that I may reach the golden strand. Yes, Father, friend on whom I can depend, bless Jesus, hold my hand. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Yes, I need thee every hour. Through the sadness to Ramadan, find thy saving arm. Hear my claim, my feeble plea. Lord, dear Lord, look down on me when I kneel in prayer, bless Jesus, hold my hand. Please be seated. 791 will be the invitation song. 791.
Go ahead and turn your Bibles to Matthew chapter 5. We'll be going there in just a second. I do want to welcome you here if you're visiting with us. We do have our lads group back. We have our lads group back with us tonight, and many of our other family members here are visiting their congregations, family. They had their family here today, and they're visiting tonight with some other family members because of the holiday. And we know that several people have had family get-togethers today, and you went and you hid your eggs, or you slept on the couch as I did while others hid their eggs or tried to sleep on the couch. And maybe you got home and got a little nap. And I know that it's been a long day for some of you, but I know that it's the Lord's Day, and it's been a good day. And Sunday is always a good day because it's a day we can set aside and make sure to be reminded that we put first things first, that we do put Christ first, and we look and see what we can do about our life, about what we can do about putting Him in charge of our life, and how we can reevaluate our priorities. And that's what we've been doing on Sunday nights this new year. We've been looking at putting first things first, looking at juggling all of the things that we have in our life. How can we manage our time? How can we manage those things to ensure that we're doing the things that are right, and how we can put our priorities first, those things that we know we need to be doing first. And the main things we looked at to do that, we said it requires discipline. That the key word there is discipline. That the only way that we're ever going to get anything done, anything worthwhile, is you just have to discipline yourself. You have to discipline yourself to study more. You have to discipline yourself to pray more. You have to discipline yourself not to do this. You have to discipline yourself to do this. You have to find time in your calendar. You have to write it in or type it in or remind yourself with an alarm to let you know this is what I need to be doing during this time of the day. It is a discipline that you have to do. And we said that the only thing the only way to discipline yourselves is with advanced decision making. You have to make the decisions ahead of time. You can't just make a decision when not to do something at that moment. That decision, when the temptation hits, has to be made weeks, days, sometimes months and years in advance, that you're not going to give into those things. That advanced decision making. We also looked at some things about what we can do to make ourselves stronger and making sure we put these things in the right order. The main concept there was personal accountability. And we looked at why personal accountability was so important. And just to give you a quick review of things that I thought was so important to remind us of, we need personal accountability from our brethren because Paul says he needed it. Paul said he needed it, lest he should be found to be disqualified. And also I think we need to be reminded that we need to have that accountability to each other because we're constantly thinking that we are stronger than what we really are. We think that we can overcome these temptations on our own, and we really can't. That these temptations are strong. And not only that, thirdly, is we are naive about it. We believe that our struggles and our temptations are unique to just us. And when we look at it, those things, those are dangers for us to look at because our temptations, they're not unique to us. We're not strong enough to think we can do it by ourselves. No man was. Jesus was the God-man, and He was the only man that could handle the temptation. If the Apostle Paul needed it, we need that personal accountability. And I encourage us each to find somebody, a friend that you trust, that you can get to hold yourself accountable. And hopefully you've done that. And as we've built up to this point, we're winding down in this series of lessons. And as we look at discipline, as we look at accountability, as we look at those encouraging things that go alongside of each other, there's a danger that comes along with it. And that danger is revealed to us here in Matthew chapter 5. In Matthew chapter 5, we find that there are at least two dangers. Well, 5 and 6, there are two dangers. And we're going to look at one tonight and one, Lord willing, next Sunday afternoon in the activity building. But the first danger is the danger of personal discipline is the danger of distortion. That we distort the idea of personal discipline to view that righteousness and that our works are what is really important and that our works are what get us into heaven. And we come to believe that as long as we're doing these things and making our list and doing all of these right things, that these are the things that are important and that get us into heaven. That it's about things, that it's about concepts, and that's a distortion of the plan. Before we look into Matthew chapter 5 and the real text about what Les read and something above it and beyond it, I want you to look at what he says in verse 17 and following. Listen to what Jesus says. Do not think that I've come to abolish the law or the prophets. I've not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I say unto you, until heaven and earth pass away, not an iota, not a dot will pass from the law, until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever relaxes one of the least of these commandments and teaches the others to do the same will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not enter into the kingdom of heaven. These are the words of Jesus. And He says to these people, unless your righteousness exceeds, that's what your Bible reads, right? Exceeds. Now, when I look at the word exceeds, I think if it exceeds, it must go beyond. So is Jesus saying that my righteousness must go beyond that of the Pharisees? And if it doesn't go beyond that of the Pharisees, then I am not going to see the kingdom of heaven. That's what he says. That your righteousness, your deeds have to go beyond that of them. Well, when we look at the Pharisees, although we know from the Scriptures and we know from Jesus that the Pharisees, they had the wrong mindset about what they were doing. They were doing things to be seen of men. But they were doing, nonetheless, the right things. They were doing the right things of the law. They were just doing them in the wrong way. And things are important. So Matthew chapter 5 is broken down into three main concepts that we want to look at. Just hit for just a second. When you look, you've got the Beatitudes there at the very beginning. And what Jesus says there in chapter 5, verses 3 through 12, you see there's the reward and the character of the true Christ follower. This is the reward and the character of what a true Christ follower is. Blessed are these people, because this shall be their reward. Blessed are they that mourn, because they will be comforted. Blessed are they which hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. We're looking at this in Luke's account in our class on Sunday mornings. But when we get after that, you get into the example that Jesus gives us here of the impact of the Christian character. The impact of the Christian lifestyle, where he says of salt and light. When you look at verse 13 through following, and that's what Les read, you are the salt of the earth. But if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You're the light of the world, a city that's set on a hill that cannot be hid. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. In the same way, let your light so shine among others, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. So we've got this is the reward of living the true life of a Christ-like follower. This is the blessing. Then you've got this is the impact that it has on people. Your example. It spreads to the rest of the world. It's magnetic. It's a connection that happens and others see it. And you can be the light that shines in a dark world. The reward, the impact. But now he goes into something else where he's going to show the relationship of what this new teaching is. And he's trying to explain to them this relationship of how this new lifestyle, how this new teaching fits into their life now. Because that's really the take home for them, isn't it? That's the take home for you tonight, is when you go through a lesson, is when you listen through a lesson. We can go through Old Testament examples, we can go through New Testament examples, we can go through doctrine, we can go through prophecy, we can go through all these things, but you're concerned about what's the take home. What do I take home from this to apply to my life to make it better? What can I make my life better from the Word tonight? How can I leave tonight better because of the Word? That's what you're concerned with, and that's what they were concerned with as well. And Jesus knew it. This is the take home for them. Where do they fit into this kind of teaching? How do they get this new teaching and adopt it into their mindset of the law? Jesus says, unless your personal righteousness goes beyond that of the most righteous people you know, you can't make it. Now, at first that might sound harsh and it might sound depressing to them. But then we know what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 24 when he goes into the woe unto you and Pharisee and hypocrite, woe unto you for doing this, and you whitewash tombs, he calls them, and now you tithe the mint and the dill, and you make sure you're right, you tithe the smallest of spices. You take these small spices and you make sure you got that 10% of those spices. You would count out little bitty leaves of spices to make sure you tithed exactly right. but you miss the most important weightiers of them all, of the law. You would strain at a gnat to swallow a camel. You missed what was important by looking at the small stuff. So Jesus says, my Christ-like followers, their righteousness will exceed that of the Pharisees. How does it do that? Well, you know as well as I do, and you may not have thought about it before, but the Christ-like change that happens in us when we become a follower of Christ, when we die to self and become alive unto Him, the change that happens is not one that just happens on the outside, is it? And that's what people see though, right? This is where we see righteousness. See, I can have one lifestyle that you see, and another lifestyle that I might live that no one else sees. I can be running a crack house in my basement, and none of you know about it. By the way, I'm not. I could be running some sort of prostitution ring and hiding it somewhere and you not know about it, and still visit the nursing homes and the hospital, and then you see all of these righteous deeds that I might do, but you don't see the other life that I live. And see, you look at the two lives and the two lives don't match up. This life of righteousness doesn't fit this life of what I'm doing. So you know as well as I do, the true Christ follower, your life matches up. You are the way you live. If you're doing these righteous deeds, it's because you are truly righteous in your heart. That the new part, the new life, the new creation takes part from the inside out. You go to these youth events and they even sing a song that talks about how, Lord, change me from the inside out, not from the outside in. That I want to be changed in here, because if it starts out here, it might not make it in here. But if it makes it here first, if it's in my heart, it will spread to the rest of my body, and you will begin to see it. And that's how the righteousness of a Christian can exceed the righteousness of the Pharisees, because their righteousness was merely on the outside. But a true Christ follower, that righteousness can be on the inside as well. And the problem there, the danger is the distortion of viewing those things, of saying this, of getting this done is what's going to be important, instead of why am I getting this done? Or making sure I don't do this sin, but doing everything else that leads up to this sin, but not doing this sin. I remember, in youth days, we would always do those a few questionnaires or those suggestion boxes in our classrooms, and every once in a while we'd go through these boxes, and I would read out a question that the kids would put in there, and we'd have a whole quarter of this, and we would answer the question in class. And I tried to do all of the questions because I knew what they put in there, and they had to be real questions, not silly questions. And there would always be the question on dating. And that question would always come up is how far is too far? Now we know this as adults. How far is too far? You know exactly what that is. If you're questioning it, if it's far, it's far. It's way too far. If it's in your mind, if you're thinking it, is this too far? It's way too far. That you don't look at it is, when have I gotten just as close to the line as I can get without going over that line and be okay? See, Jesus says it's not about going over the line. It's about looking at it. Don't even look at the line. It's about totally avoiding the line. Don't worry about how close you can get to it. It's about staying as far away from it as you possibly can. And that's when he gets into this aspect of how your righteousness exceeds. And we're just going to touch it. Look at what the true righteousness is. In these next few verses, 21 through probably about the rest of the chapter. Yeah, 21 through the rest of the chapter. We're not going to read them all. We're just going to touch them and see what they say. But he's going to lay it out, the structure. You're going to be, you have heard it said in the law, but I'm going to tell you this. You have seen that it's external, but I'm going to tell you it's internal. You've seen that it's all about doing, but I'm going to tell you it's about being. You have seen that it's about duty, but I'm going to tell you it's devotion. Performance, more about relationship. Letter of the law, but I'm going to tell you it's more about the Spirit. It's going to say head over here. It's about thinking it and making sure, but I'm going to tell you it's more about the heart of the matter. I'm going to tell you it's not about a religion. It's about a relationship. And that's when he gets into this first one. You have heard it said of old, you shall not murder, and whoever murders will be liable to the judgment. But I say unto you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council, and whoever says you fool will be liable to hell of fire. So if you are offering your gift at the altar and there is and remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there to the altar. First be reconciled to your brother, and then go and come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you're going with him to court, lest your accuser hand you over to the judge, and the judge to your guard, and you be put in prison. Truly I say unto you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. Murder, anger. Now, whoa, Jesus, those are two totally different concepts. You know, anger and murder, I mean, those are two opposite ends of the spectrum. Are they really? I mean, are they really that far apart? When Cain killed his brother Abel, was he not first angry with him before he did it? When you look at other instances when people commit murder, not manslaughter, not accidental deaths, we're talking intended result of taking one's life. Why is that the case? Isn't it because of anger? Isn't it because of something swelling up inside of them that they want to release in some way? You've heard it said, don't murder. Jesus says, but I'm going to tell you, it's not actually, my teaching is not actually about the letter of the law. Meaning, I'm not telling you, you can beat the dog out of him until an inch of his life, until he just has he's barely breathing and he's on life support. And you can walk around saying, well, I didn't kill him. I'm okay. I'm all right. I can still go to church and worship faithfully because I didn't murder anybody. I just beat the tar out of him. He says, I'm going to tell you it's not about the letter of the law, it's about the spirit of it. I'm going to say, don't be angry with them. And if you are angry with them, you know what you do? You go to your brother and you fix it, so that it never gets to that point. The anger is going to be the first step in the process that's going to get to the murder. Nobody wakes up and says, I'm going to go kill somebody today, just randomly. Nobody's saying that is. Then he goes into the next one, and he talks about adultery. When he gets into the next verse about lust, you have heard it said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away, for it's better that you lose one of your members than your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away, for it's better for you to lose one of your members than for your whole body to be lost and go to hell. He's not actually telling you just, pluck your eye out or cut your hand off. What Jesus is saying, you take drastic measures to avoid getting in situations that's going to put you in a lustful state. Sometimes it takes drastic measures. Well, Matt, what are those drastic measures? Well, what have we been talking about for the last couple of weeks? An accountability partner. Someone that you can call. Someone that you can say, listen, I've got these thoughts. I'm having these thoughts. I'm having these feelings about this person or about this thing, and I've got to get them out, and I need to talk to someone that can talk me down and get me out of this. Are you available? Can you pray with me? Is that embarrassing? Oh, yes, it's embarrassing. Trust me, it's embarrassing. But what does it do? It's a drastic measure taken. It's that figurative severing of the hand or plucking out of the eye. Oh, I didn't commit adultery. No, you might not have committed adultery. But what you did was you set into motion a chain of events. When you looked upon a woman to lust, you set in motion a chain of events that would have gotten you there. And that might get you there if you don't stop. He continues on with these others about divorce, about oaths, about retribution, about enemies. And the whole concept that he's telling these people, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the Pharisees, you will by no means enter into the kingdom of heaven. And they're looking at it, thinking of it, how can my righteousness exceed that of the most righteous people I know? Jesus lets them know their righteousness is just outside. My righteousness works from in here out. If you don't think it, you won't do it. If you don't feel it, you won't express it. And if you can do that, you'll truly be changed from the inside out. There's a danger in personal discipline, in that advanced decision making, of distorting the Scriptures into saying, I've got to do these things, and by doing them, I am okay. I don't care if you do 101 Christian things a day for the rest of your life and you live to be 101. If this is not right, if your heart is not right, if you're not changed in here, those things mean nothing. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels. Remember that passage? Though I give my body to be burned, if I have not love, it profits me